We're gonna pick back. We're gonna pick right back up, bruh. Where we were talking about. We're gonna merge the how people should conduct themselves within these social economic statuses, um, along with where their relationship prospects are. You know what I'm saying? So let's get the elephant out of the room, or let's maybe put the elephant in the room. We have people want to look at it. But ladies, the more money a man make, the less monogamous he gonna be. So that's one thing that confuses me. Is I don't understand how women desire men that make a certain amount of money, thinking that they're gonna have him all to himself. You know what I'm saying? Like it's wild. Like men marry a woman knowing that, generally speaking, some of y'all, generally speaking though, men know that other men want their woman. You know what I'm saying? Men know they're at the mercy of her choice. Unc put it perfectly. You know, women control access to sex and babies. Men control access to relationships and marriages. Men know that, all right, if I get a woman and I feel like I'm sexually attracted to her and she's beautiful and I want to be with her, well then of course another man wants to have sex with her. You know what I'm saying? Why do women think they're gonna get the magical dude? You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna have him all to herself.
And you said it, and I want to reference something the Godfather said. Uh, the Godfather did. Kevin Samuels talked about exercising your options,
Mm-hmm.
but then he also said that the solid group of men around him are not going to allow him to cheat in peace, so to speak. Like there's a checks and balance amongst elevated men. And so he did talk about, you have to be open to the possibility of the man exercising his options based on his monetary status, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he also said that true high value men, elevated men, don't cheat. He also
Mm-hmm.
said that as well. So he talked about the high value man. One of the criteria is that his contemporaries view him as someone that they can go to for knowledge and as someone that they respect to be on
Mm-hmm.
that level. And he was talking about amongst those group of solid men, they're not going to allow you to cheat in comfort. Like they're going to more or less chastise you, like we've been talking
Mm-hmm.
about.
Right. Right.
So
The
yeah,
old school standards.
yeah, you can have an elevated, attractive, successful, high earning man, and he can just be checking for you. It's possible. And amongst the high, because one thing Kevin said, I'm glad I'm remembering this now.
What?
One thing Kevin Samuels focused on was the complications that come with cheating. And he was just like, a lot of solid men would rather just have the one woman than deal with the complications that come along with cheating. Meaning you can get divorced, you can lose half of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
you can even lose a woman you love, even like how Judge Mathis is right now. He had to beg his wife back because he wasn't listening to her. So a cerebral man,
And that's not done, but we ain't gonna
yeah,
digress. Go ahead.
yeah, a cerebral, intelligent, man who obviously have to have some characteristics to make it to a higher earning man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a thinking man, so he's not going to jeopardize everything that he's built because of a moment of lust. And that's one thing I like about what the Godfather said.
So since we were touching on it, are the standards for a woman in the equal space different? Like, let's I don't want to use Ebony K. Williams, for example, but I just said her name, right?
Yeah.
So so I am using it, right? For example, or let's look at a successful, high earning, high educated woman. Of course, I'm using a black woman, but I don't want to kind of limit it to that, especially with things are with modern women in America now and things of that nature. Um, how do men view women of that ilk and that standard?
In terms of desirability
You know what I'm saying?
and
Well, not necessarily desirability, because one thing, like, men can desire a woman and not pursue her. Men can desire a woman and know they can't have her.
yeah,
They'll just like her pictures and, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying, they'll kind of lust from from afar. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a humbleness to it in the sense where it's almost like hunter and gatherer, right? If hunter and gatherer, if I can't get her, it doesn't matter. So if I don't have any real prospects with her, I'm not going to put myself in a state of delusion where I waste time, effort, and energy. Was like, oh, I'm gonna get Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I fuck Beyonce if I had the chance, but I can't get her. You know what I'm saying? Let me move on to the next thing I can climb on top of. You know what I'm saying? The simple male mind. But to be more specific, let's discuss this. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, there are women that are high educated, high earning, and are desirable, not just because of those things, but some other things may be added on to it. Where's the approach for men? Where's the standard for men for dealing with these women? Because you're hearing this narrative from women now.
That's a great question, and I think if a man, even if he doesn't earn as much as the woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he knows he's keeping himself like extremely attractive. He's disciplined. He's good with the money that he does make. He understands the actual dating pool of that woman. That she doesn't have access to the man who was her contemporary because maybe he's looking at
You think
younger.
that though? You think he really thinks that? Generally speaking.
If you look at the results, I mean, think every woman literally is especially in our community is fair game. If 72% of them are ever going to be married in their life,
Mm-hmm.
then they're all fair game. So I would think that any man that has a solid identity and he's not worried about the material world, he's not going to be afraid to shoot a shot, so to speak. And
Mm-hmm.
then within that, he understands her dating options. She's single because the men that she wants don't want her, and the men that want her, she doesn't want them. That's single. That's every single person, regardless of any
That's
status.
vicious.
So once you understand that,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to be your level of self perception and confidence within yourself that's going to make you conclude that no woman's really off limits. And as my father told me to simplify this, and as my father told me back when I was in like second grade, and I was trying to holler at the girl, and I said, "Dad, that's her father. We're going down the stairs. Her dad's coming up the stairs."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, I like his daughter and this and that." My father said, "You know what you got to do?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "You got to ask her father, can you call her?" You know what I'm saying?
Old school.
Yeah. So I stepped to her dad. Was like, "Hey, Mr. Such and Such. I'm Matthew and this and that, and I like your daughter, and I just want to know if it was okay if I called her." And he was a younger guy. He was cool. He had a little high top with his suit on. You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Yeah, man, you can call her and this and that." And then I remember as we were walking to the car, we went down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
My dad told me, he said, the worst thing a girl's ever going to tell you is no.
Mm-hmm.
But transversely, as a man, I understand the opposite side of that. The best thing she's going to tell you is yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if your internal confidence and your preparation for any type of woman, meaning that you're not delusional, you're actually maximizing yourself in whatever capacity you have. You're showing up as the best version of yourself. You're keeping yourself looking good, in shape, um, pushing your earning potential as high as you can push it.
Mm-hmm.
If you show up as that man, what do they really have to choose from? So you shouldn't be afraid to take your shot. Let her tell you no. And if she's in tune with the amount of these high earning men that she actually has to choose from, if she has an interest in pairing herself with a man for a marriage or a prolonged period of time, she's going to be open to that man as long as he presents himself the right way.
Right. So let's look at because again, I think that's interesting because I think the challenge that like high earning women, entrepreneurial women, um, we're gonna touch on entrepreneur. Matter of fact, we really just touching on high earning women. We're gonna touch on entrepreneurs in a second. But you just really made me think about something in regards to um when you said delusion. Um, really more going to the middle class. And the fact that we see that there's especially in the black community, but you know, um, not going to digress into too many other groups in America, subgroups in America, because one thing I will say is that's how I look at things now, as subgroups.
Okay.
So I don't assess things from a collective in America anymore. You know what I'm saying? You have your different subgroups. You know what I'm saying? And that's not just African American or even the different subgroups of African and American. It's like, okay, Nigerian American, Japanese American, Chinese American. I'm breaking the shit down when I'm looking into the stats because that's how the stats broken down. It ain't because Asia is how many countries, Africa's how many countries. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to digress on too much. But um, let's get off the high earners. Let's get off of the exceptions. You know what I'm saying? Let's get more into the norm and the consistency of the pool and why you know what I'm saying the challenge with people that are more fit for each other, not connecting and linking. Like especially in the day and age when we see relationship roles have changed and flipped, women more educated, making more money, generally speaking, especially within the black community. Um, what's the problem with a woman making 90,000 and your man making 50 and y'all be good? It was cool when he was making 90, if he was making 90, and you was making 50, if you was making 50. But why is it now that, especially within the black community, there are women making more money, and that's almost creating an expectation of change on how men are supposed to be when men want the same thing from or as a wife that they've always wanted.
That's that is the dilemma.
It's a vicious dilemma.
You said it. Um, that's because when we're talking from the black woman's perspective, her identity is in the wrong place. Your money cannot give the man an experience that inspires him to get down on one knee. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem, especially as women get older. They shift from youth and beauty, which means the world is my oyster. Men are offering me this, and men are offering me
Just
that.
because I'm attractive.
About 28, it flips. It goes to degrees, houses, cars, social
New
standing.
phenomenon. This is American feminism.
No, but this has been around because I watched the old shows back in the South, like Jesse Raphael and Ricky Lakes and all this. The same conversation that we're having, the same
That was
condition.
the birth of feminism.
That was before then.
Not the birth of
Yeah, but
feminism, but
it was popping, man. And
the rise, maybe I should say.
yeah. And so
Right.
those same conditions that inspired those conversations back then are here. It's been here.
Mm-hmm.
And black women have been suffering all the same because they refuse to accept what the man is actually looking for, as opposed to creating an identity that's not based on what he's looking for and trying to impose that on him. So they'll say, he should want me because I work here and I make this and I have this degree. And there's a collective of men as it stands right now across different socio-economic standards that are saying that we're collectively saying we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Godfather said fit, feminine, friendly, and cooperative. Those are your superpowers, especially as a black woman. That man is looking for the best experience. So you can't create an identity around something that he could care less about. You have to actually value him enough to understand what he's looking for. And if you want to appeal to him, create your identity in that space around the things that he's looking for. One thing I loved about what the Godfather said,
Mm-hmm.
one of his phrases that was overlooked, he would always have those women that you're talking about, the high earners.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Ma'am, have you considered the trade worker,
Mm-hmm.
the postal worker, the plumber, the self-sufficient black man that's not going to ask you for anything? Ma'am, have you considered? And that's the phrase that single-handedly can solve the dilemma that we're facing. Ma'am, have you considered? And then on top of that, you can't be delusional or you're going to die alone. Let's call it what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every woman has to assess and accept the pool of men that are checking for her. That's what's single-handedly keeping black women single, is they're trying to box outside their weight class. So once you accept the pool of men that are collectively checking for you,
Mm-hmm.
at that point, accept it choose the one that you're most attracted to,
Mm-hmm.
and put one foot in front of the next and see where y'all can end up. That's your only option, especially as a high earning black woman, as the focus of the conversation is right now. You either do that or you age out and move to that place that we talked about. We're not going to say okay. And then
Hey, Matt, out of control. At some point, it's gonna come out. I'm not gonna say it again.
You buy a dog, you die alone, you get older, you travel with your girlfriends, you all have brunch, you all have kickbacks at each other's house and all that kind of stuff. And until you're actually invisible, where any type of man is going to be looking beyond you. So compatibility and getting a suitable mate, especially as a black woman, is just a level of acceptance. It's just pure acceptance. Who's checking for you and who's the most attractive of the pool of men that are actually checking for you.
So let's speak towards it from the men's side.
Okay.
With everything that you just said at the same time, what are the men supposed to do? That range in these socioeconomic statuses, and really, to be honest with you, again, we can exclude the high end guys because honestly, they need advice. They got enough money to pay for professional advice. So let's talk about the dude that's making $75,000 and less, and $35,000 and more. What are you supposed to do in a world where modern women desire more based on a variety of things, based on their education status, their economic status, how much money they make? We look in the past 25 years, going on, we're coming up on 2025, but even still in the past 25 years, women have been single home buyers in a trending upwards trajectory.
It's a lot with that too. Go ahead.
So, but that ties into getting the degree, getting the money. You go get the house. Then you want to get back into the natural aspect of things. It was like, well, because I told my man this. I'm like, because he was talking to a woman. You know, she was about to buy a house. Like, what is she buying a house for? Just because you got money? Because you got a degree? Like, I remember the days where the standard was the woman went from her father's house to her husband's house.
Mm-hmm. It's a status symbol.
Right. So this ties into the status part. So if she has her own house, then you look like so you want a man to propose to you and move in your house? You see how things are in an unnatural state, and this is why I think this conversation is important, is because there is too many conflicting narratives. It's too many conflicting narratives, but from a behavior standpoint. Let's just talk about what I just said. Ladies, if you buy a home, let's say you're in your 30s, wherever you range at in your 30s, you buy a home and you meet a man and you all get serious and you want to get married, he already has his own home. Even if he doesn't, let's say he's living with moms or renting or whatever, wherever the fuck he's at, right? But you got your own house. Do you want a man to provide a house for you? Because if you do, why would you buy your own house? I mean, every house ain't a rental property. So let me say that too. Let's kill that bullshit narrative. Everybody's not about to buy a house you're gonna live in and then rent it out. Like, that's not fiscally possible. So if women are buying homes, now of course I don't want to tie in the 80% clip of women being single mothers and stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily going in that direction. If women are single mothers, then you got to put a roof over your kids' heads. You got to do what you got to do. I'm talking about more aligning this particular conversation or part of the conversation. Single folk, like,
talk to them,
if you're
Trees.
single and you don't got no kids, I don't give a fuck if you make 150,000 a year. Like, if you want to be a wife, why are you buying a house on your own?
Now,
I don't understand that.
That is an excellent proposition and a question right there, because
Let's discuss that part.
I'm seeing it in real time. You know, dealing with women, late 20s, early 30s, and they getting to the point where they can buy houses, and it's like they crown jewel of an accomplishment. No matter where the house is, you know.
Right.
And it's part of the bad sisterhood identity pack. At the top of it is
bad bitch identity pack.
Sisterhood identity pack. At the top of the hierarchy is the house. But as I listen to some of these younger women I'm dealing with, they come and stay with me. They might fly in and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool women, only kind I surround myself with,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting in positions in their youth to get houses. Now, I understand. I'm gonna bring it home. I understand why they're doing it
Mm-hmm.
because their major point of contention is like, I don't want to just give money away paying rent. And a lot of the women I've met, they're getting lower mortgages than like living somewhere like in Northern Virginia or something like that.
Living where though?
Oh, they in the hood.
And you showing the DMV? Where they
They in
at?
the hood, bro. Don't get twisted, bro. They in the hood, but it's like it's theirs, and then all of them they rationalize the hell out of it. Oh, my neighbors watch out for me. We know each other,
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm coming over that motherfucker like, yeah,
Thule with the Thule.
you know what I'm saying? Like, don't be shook, baby. You know what I'm saying? but at the same time,
All right.
I understand it from that vantage point because if they're single, they still have to be functional adults, and you want to make a wise decision as opposed to
Right.
you have a steady job. It makes
We
sense.
we on something right now.
Yeah,
Let's go.
it makes sense for them to go ahead and get a mortgage, and a lot of them live in DC, and the prices are appreciating and things like that. So it makes sense to go from paying that rent maybe in Northern Virginia where I am and this and that,
Mm-hmm.
and then shaving it, depending on when they moved in, $800 to $1,000 off of what they were paying for rent, and they can own something, and hopefully the neighborhood kind of
Mm-hmm. See, so that.
But one more thing.
I ain't gonna cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's cool, man.
Uh huh.
So
I'm following you. We good.
So you have that. So it's like a natural, logical decision from a financial standpoint. It might already have some equity in it. It might appreciate and the equity develops and stuff like that. So I'm not mad at them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're single, you still have to progress in life as a functional adult.
This is true.
Okay. Now the problem comes in when the house is a part of your identity. That's where the problem comes in. As opposed to saying, I'm a functional adult, making the progressions that a functional adult makes. And this is just an accumulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, oh, I'm a bad, I got a house. Oh, you ain't got a house?
Right. So
so when it becomes a part of an identity, and then you begin to look down on the men who are a representation of your suitable mate, because no man, no matter of his socioeconomic status, wants to be talked down to,
right,
looked down on,
right.
And so when the house becomes a part of the identity, then that's when the purchase of the house works against you in terms of your ability to pair yourself with a quality black man.
Especially when you're saying, I have this, you don't have it, you're less than, I'm more than.
Have Kevin Sampson, ma'am, have you considered?
Well, so and here's where I was going with the home buying piece, right? Especially with women being more like single women, and I think that's the interesting part statistically. Single women being home buyers trending up. What is that? That's saying something about where we are relationally, because if you have these things, right? These tangible things, from degrees, salary to home. And it's not a knock. I mean, I get that. I understand where feminism was rooted in. I get that, women were deprived of certain things. But unfortunately, especially with black men, we ain't the ones that deprive women of shit, especially in America. If anybody's been deprived of something, I think a black man can raise his hand. So I don't. That's another thing that's a false narrative where it's like black men are a part of the patriarchy of America. Like, we're not. Like, it was built on the backs of us.
Yes.
That's about it. So miss me with tying me into the ownership of America piece is just being a black man, right? So, but again, not to digress. Again, like my thing when I was talking to my dog is like if you dating a woman and she has a mortgage, she has her own house, what's the move when y'all move in together? You're supposed to be providing a home, right? So you just gonna sell your house after what? 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, what's the point of buying a home with a 30-year mortgage and when you're in a fluctuating state as being a dating woman, that can potentially go from single to being married. What's the point of you acquiring assets as an individual if you plan on being a wife? This is where I don't think we looking at things from a grander scale and perception of how America's changed things for people relationally. Like it's that doesn't make sense. Never mind that you're going to work all day to pay for the shit you got. So when you get with a man, when we talk about the things men want from a wife as far as a helpmate, someone to raise his children, you're designed and conditioned to work like a man. And you got a mortgage. You're going to wake up and put your drawers on and your pants on like a nigga. Like a man. Excuse me, not like a nigga, but like a man. Who's going to raise the fucking kids?
Yeah, that's a hell of a point right there. And so much as I listen to you, man, it's going through my mind. Like I had one of my good friends, his wife had a house, and when they got married, he moved into her house and he grinded his ass off so she didn't have to work anymore. Like he gonna raise his children. So even though it was essentially her house at first, he did what he had to do to make it their home. And let's just be real, man. The days of the plant life in Detroit, Michigan, and Big Daddy come in the house and he's working at the plant, he can pay for everything. Those days are gone.
Shit gone.
So the thing is that more than likely, in this, especially in this age of inflation and what we've been facing even before now, both people are gonna have to be working.
Generally speaking.
That's how it's gonna have to be. Now the answer,
generally speaking,
as the black woman elevates in the corporate structure and she does what she has to do within the walls of that job, can she maintain her femininity and submission to the man that she's paired herself with?
Right. And I think that's interesting when you look at on the flip side too, a man being able to maintain his masculinity, who he is, when generally speaking, you're seeing women work in a different trajectory than men have been traditionally raised, especially men in our generation. You know what I'm saying? For women to kind of operate and conduct themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like women are the modern woman is different. She's not our mother and our grandmother. We haven't been prepared for this woman, which is part of, I think, why this conversation is important when you look at different socioeconomic statuses, because women act different, generally speaking, based on the socioeconomic status they're in. Never mind the delusional women that's just going to cut up regardless of where they at because they ass fat or they face cute. You know what I'm saying? Like, when a woman goes from getting that motherfucking bachelor's to getting that master's to getting that PhD, that motherfucker hair flow in the wind different. When she a black one, I'm telling you what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
She don't have to have no hair. That shit is flowing in the wind. It's different.
Yeah.
She expects different. She wants different. She desires different. That's fine. But the dude that's making $60,000 a year and his raise is $973,000 a year. $973 a year. So he'll go from 60 to 61 to 62 to 63 while fighting inflation. His standards don't change like that.
Yeah,
he know that this is what I provide. This is who I am as a man. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't think that what he desires in a woman should change based upon just what he earns and what he can provide along with who he is.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what's wild. Like, how do we get to a point where it doesn't matter where a woman is at, she can desire whatever the fuck she want, but where a man is at matters. Like, nah, you don't deserve this type of woman. You don't deserve a threesome. You can't have a threesome. You don't make enough money. You know what I'm saying? You don't make enough money for a threesome, nigga. You know what I'm saying? You make sure you bring your ass home at a certain time. You might have a hot plate. You know what I'm saying? Like, Where we at with this shit?
Man,
Come on, man.
where we are with this, man, as you talking, man, because you on it, man. This is where we are in black society right now, man.
We fucked up.
You on it, bro. There's only two things that come to my mind. Uh, I'm gonna go with the first. You know, you call it anecdotal at times.
Yeah.
My longest relationship was like 3 years, and I was young, like mid-20s, and she was in medical school at Howard University,
Shout out to Howard.
no doubt, and I was a budding, up and coming motivational speaking author.
Mm-hmm. Remember these days?
Yeah. So on paper we matched,
Mm-hmm.
but the sisterhood still found a way to tell her
Uh-oh.
that you might be a little too good for this man.
Uh-oh.
She got the she got the 6'5" book writing 26-year-old on stage with Les Brown.
Shout out to Les Brown.
I'm not trying to throw it out there. I'm talking about the reality of the sisterhood.
Nah, he throwing it out there.
Yeah.
He's 6'5". I'm talking shit. Go
On a
ahead.
good day, like I'll fuck with you know what I'm saying? Nah, man. So we were on paper,
Mm-hmm.
we were a match, and people were coming to her and was just like, yeah, what about him? Like, you about to be a doctor and this and that. And she was just more or less like, are you an idiot? Like, he has more earning potential than me. She broke it down. She told everybody that. And then she came to me, outside of all of that, and she was just like, we're never gonna have to worry about money. And she was basing that on whether I made it or not. And that's the only woman in my life who told me how hard I worked, because I was so tunnel vision. I was
Mm-hmm.
going towards a goal. And
As we should be.
that's the only woman in my life that's spoken to my future. She said, Matthew, you work so hard, you're gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had like a little anniversary dinner. I'm not gonna get too far off track.
You good.
And she, women remember the dates and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working 5 days on a non-committal job, and on the weekends I was doing book signings. And on the weekends I would go to her place, and she dragged me out of there. I'm halfway asleep, man. And we
Mm-hmm.
taking pictures, we having dinner and stuff like that. And we get back, and she's like, "You work so hard, you're gonna make it." Meaning that she saw the trail of results behind me. That's the only woman that saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. Squandering that made me change and decide what kind of man I was going to be moving forward in life.
Real shit.
So I say that to say, if the two people who meet have their own identities outside of the outside world, you both have a chance. If your identity is not tied up in your title and your possessions, then that means you two can combine yourselves, become one, create your own space, and be so tuned into each other that the norms and the precepts of the outside world cannot infiltrate your space. So it really comes down to, regardless of the status, two individuals who know and accept themselves, who understand themselves enough to be comfortable enough within their own identity and their own skin, to say, to hell with the outside world and what they say. We are one. We're going to combine. We'll both elevate. We'll both grow. We'll both end up where we end up. But we're going to do this thing together. And we're going to be the best for each other. That's the answer. And the only other thing I was going to say was that from the woman's perspective, like you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
humility is the key. No matter what you acquire, no matter how much you elevate, remain a spirit of humility. The Bible says pride goes before destruction. And that's what we're witnessing right now. They're being blessed and they're working hard for these decorations that are being added to their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting their identity in that, and they're getting prideful. They think they're above. But if the Bible said pride goes before destruction, that's what we're witnessing right now. The destruction of the ego based on the material world. That's what we're witnessing right now. The antithesis to pride goes before destruction means humility goes before increase. So yes, work
And that's some good game right there.
work hard, get the things you're going to get,
Mm-hmm.
but maintain a sense of humility, and then you'll always have an identity that's centered in yourself and not in the material world. So it doesn't matter how that man is showing up. in terms of he might have less than you, or he might have,
especially in that, right, in that regard. Like, we're not saying it doesn't matter
yeah.
in regards to integrity and moral compass and you know those things. But you saying as far as what his uniform is, you know, how much money he make, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying,
man.
what he look like, you know what I'm saying.
I had to open the book, man. Like, 'cause
Crack the book open,
I
man.
wrote chapter 5, man.
Chapter 5, y'all listening?
You can't see it, man. I wrote a chapter about this called "He Has to Have More Than Me." I wrote a whole chapter about this, man. How to be appealing to successful black men for black women. www.matthewchorne.com.
Go check the website out, man. Make your purchase.
Wrote the
But
entire chapter about, he has to have all of these things. He has to match me in terms of this person I become based on my
right,
accumulations.
and I think what's interesting for our group and dynamic in America, as far as Black African American, is how vicious the Stockholm syndrome is kicked in. It's like, why would any American social construct dictate the relationship between the black man and woman? That's always been solid. I will always tell you, like I said, in the just past year, 18 months of me study, you know, my historical studies, and I've been going into Jim Crow America up to now. It's amazing how shit changed when they took our black leadership away from the 1960s. Martin, Malcolm, the Black Panthers. It's been downhill ever since. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't make sense how in America the black man and woman's relationship is the worst statistically, because when you really think about it, when you really look at it, no one has our anecdotal experience as far as objectively on a macro level. Nobody's gone through what we've gone through here. We've always relied on each other. So that's why this conversation is so important. And one of the reasons why we wanted to have it is not about just pointing fingers at who's wrong or right, but from a solution based standpoint, we got to fucking do better.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people can want what they want and desire what they desire. You know, maybe we need to find some cities where the women can have some passport girl shit or something, where y'all can go to another country and get the dude that you want with the pipe and the height and the money and all that, and they just land there for you. You know what I'm saying? Because the men got it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all acting like we don't, but it don't work.
I saw that this week, but go ahead. It don't work that way.
Y'all act like it's this magical land of niggas. You know, unfortunately, the Bama that work at UPS, he can save up for 5 years to go to the DR and had the time of his life. It could be for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
He could do that shit every 5 years. Yeah. Women, as your ass get older, you're not going to do that. And y'all acting like menopause is not real. Like, this is going to be a quick digression. Quick digression. We need to take care of ourselves as we get older and get into our 40s. Life gonna whoop your ass if you ain't taking care of yourself. You don't want to be that person that's getting cheated on because you can't get it up, and that's whether it's wet or getting hard. Pause. I'm telling you, you don't want to be that person.
Superfood juice, my Negroes.
Juice, exercise, fasting, manage how you drink. Shout out to everybody tonight. All that. I'm telling you. Especially if you got high standards.
Especially if you want them young joints, so they sizing you up. Them young joints, they are...
Hey, Slim.
They are balancing your performance against the men in their age group.
Oh, my goodness.
And I've seen it in the comments of what the women say to me.
Are we going here?
I mean, we just kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Are we going? You sure you want to go here?
You want them young joints, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, there can't be any departure from your performance in every aspect. Your appearance, your sexual performance, your stamina, how you take care of yourself. There can be no departure from how you perform versus the men in her age group.
Unless she got daddy issues.
And that's the only way. That's the only way that she's going to be there for the right reasons. Unless she got daddy issues.
And then you're dealing with something different. Then she's going to push up on your ass.
I witness it. And it manifests. This is how you know a young chick is there for the right reasons, man. She shows you off to her young friends. If she ain't doing that, Open that wallet, baby.
We digress.
Yeah.
We digress in a major way,
We
man.
talk about that health stuff, man. But you know, if you optimizing yourself and you're appealing to a myriad of women amongst a different range of age groups.
But I think that's a certain level of game. I ain't gonna say game, you know what I'm saying? Because it's too much that's game. Now, actually, I'm kind of scared because things that are game now should be common knowledge, especially from my perspective. So, you know, I know we often come, like, especially when me and you sit down and rap, like, excuse me, we come from a different place. Like, I was just telling you, like, during halftime type shit, like,
Privilege.
you know what I'm saying? We privileged, bro. This PG County, it's Pretty Girl County, like,
Yeah.
and, you know I'm cute, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm gonna get a couple, you know what I'm saying?
This nigga's the bars. I'm decent. You know what I'm saying?
It's one thing when a woman say you cute, she gonna give you the pussy. You know what I'm saying? She say you handsome, you gonna get some too. But
I'm decent, man.
you don't call me cute. Like, oh man, you ready right now?
Yeah, man. When they say, "What's
What?
up, handsome? How you doing, handsome?"
Like, oh man.
Yeah, you pretty much know.
When a woman call me handsome, the first thing I'm gonna say is like, is she drunk? You know what I'm saying? Because she could be sick, you know, she could just be like what's the dog calling of women be saying that shit? You know how they say it's cat calling when men say shit to women, like, hey, beautiful, shit like that.
So she dog calling.
We gotta say dog calling. Because again, these women aggressive now, you know what I'm saying? But that's the bad part about where we are, even when we go back to China back into socio-economic statuses. I'm not gonna digress, but I'm speaking from a behavior standpoint. Women now are making money and they'll fuck you like from a man's standpoint. Pardon my French. Women will have sex with you and keep it moving like it ain't nothing.
But that's not even their natural.
Right. And that's part of the problem, because when one of them niggas put that pipe on you, knock sonic rings out your ass, yes. Now all of a sudden you can't process information correctly because you're not designed from a biology and physiology standpoint to just be a free-flowing sexual being. Now, I am all for women being sexually liberal. I'm for it, but you have to be responsible. You just can't fuck a nigga and think that there's no residual impact to that. Some of these niggas won't ask you what your body count is. I'm not asking that.
I ain't gonna tell the truth anyway. Bro.
I wouldn't believe you if you told me. Swear to God, I fuck 7 niggas. Okay, all right, all right. And hold up, I want to say something about what that J. Cole line is. That's some of the most bullshit ever. You can't make up no equation to assess how many men a woman has sex, men or women, I should say, a woman has sex with, because we got to keep the down low shit out there. Because it's definitely down low women out there.
Nah, they so open with it now,
no.
Man.
Some bitches don't eat pussy on vacation, man. It is what it is.
Them young joints, they'll tell you.
I ain't talking about the young joints. They ain't been raised right. There's women 47 years old can't wait to go on vacation and eat a bitch ass. It is what it is.
Ain't no rules out here, man. They all wild.
Everybody feels like they could do what they could do differently now. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So again, what I'm saying from a socio-economic standpoint, though, a woman will date you. She'll take you out. Bring you back to her spot. You ain't knocking her down, she knocking you down, man.
Oh yeah, she's already made a decision.
And then she might not reach out. She might not call you, or she might call you again when she wants to have sex with you or something like that.
And you just accept that as part of the game.
But here's what I'm saying. Here's where I'm about to go to the next level. This same woman is going to present herself to the man that she thinks is her husband in the way that she sees herself, not aligned with her behavior. So you're not going to tell him about what happened on that island. You're not going to tell him about what happened in college. You're not going to talk about that weekend when you was here or there, or wherever the fuck you was having your hot girl summer. Because in your mind, you've conditioned yourself to think that you can have what you want for the reasons why you've decided to have what you want. That's what's partially throwing shit off. That's why you see niggas wifing rollers all the time. Men are out here wifing women that are not wives. Just because you want to get married doesn't mean that you're a husband or wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's regardless of economic status, education, salary. And this goes back to another point I was about to make, but go ahead and respond to what I just said, though.
Yeah. What you just said. See, this is the thing, man. This is the part of the game that we have to take into consideration. You can have a woman with 100 bodies, right? Say like she.
You just might.
Yeah, she. They are.
You just might.
You know what I'm saying? She can have 100 bodies or whatever, but she didn't have any children. She's still looking relatively young, and she's accepted what the man is looking for, meaning that she's giving the man the good experience, right? And
the experience. We're gonna keep talking about that.
That experience is everything, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's keep it real. She's been out there. She's had the Olympics, but that pootie might just hug you the right way even still. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, she could be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
No children. She's shown it the right way. You've seen her over time. You trust that she's there for the right reason. She reciprocates. Yeah, y'all fall in love with each other. Like, yeah, you could be the wife versus the woman who had two bodies, and that first and second dude was just the one. His boys are the ones that swam, and she had a child. You know what I'm saying? So that guy's going to take that childless woman regardless of her past, as long as she's shown it the right way. A lot of men will put that over the woman who has a child, and that's why like there's really no ironclad or concrete way from a man's perspective like show up to the man. Mm-hmm. He's literally looking for the best experience.
So let's tap into this experience part, because I think this is an interesting part of the conversation, because I think there's a lot of validity to it. I think at the same time, there's some natural just subjectivity. You know what I'm saying? So there's some anecdotal experience where it's going to be an unfocused person locked in on their desires, focused on their experience, and is going to totally distract them from what they want their end result to be. I'll give you an example when I told you about, like,
I see you going
right. You know what I'm saying? A scenario where I had a situation with a woman, I'm not going to say when, met at a party, connected, me being me. I'm a flirt, so it is what it is. But I don't get your number. I don't, I flirted and I kind of got out of it. You know what I'm saying? See you at a party again. Flirting continues. It elevates. Then at the end of this party, it's, you didn't ask me for my number last time. Why you ain't take my number? No sooner than I take your number, a couple hours later, we having sex till the sun come out. But then after that, it's, oh man, we haven't had a date. We haven't talked on the phone. So again, when we talk about desires, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature, and that level of things where things are casual on the dating scene, when we talking about leading to end results, does it line up? You know what I'm saying? Does being intentional, is your behavior matching? Man and woman.
Check this out, honey, right? So, this is a cool shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all had a desire for one another. Mm-hmm. And I don't judge women when they have sex with me quickly. Because I'm that man.
I bet you don't.
Yeah, because I'm that man. You just do that with anyone.
I bet you don't.
I
don't either.
No man that really values himself. You know what I'm saying? if you really value yourself, you're going to see
Right.
yourself as the
Right.
as the man that she's supposed to want to do that with anyway.
Right.
Now, in your particular situation, right?
In my particular situation.
Yeah, yeah. But this is a representation
Right. Right.
of
Right.
all women. All she had to do
Mm-hmm.
was trust her qualities in spite of her lustful decision. Meaning that she didn't have to try to backpedal and moonwalk and say, oh, you were supposed to do this and you were supposed to do that. All she had to do was trust her qualities and be like, okay, we had a mutual attraction. We did what we did. Not going to play with this guy. If he still wants to be there, I want to make myself available to him. And then I'm going to go through the natural progressions that could lead to something if we both have that mutual desire. If she would have showed up that way, you would have kept kicking it with her, man. But as soon as she introduced that wrinkle of trying to introduce these prerequisites for something that she wanted to do in the first place, that's why she didn't introduce the prerequisites. So, like I said before,
Well, I think that's what the problem is. If you had certain prerequisites, you would have presented them. Not that you not presenting them is a problem, but I think that is the conundrum that modern women are in when we talk about being more sexually liberal, aligned with being more educated, being not only the ability to earn, but now your ceiling has been raised as women on how you can earn. You can have a job, a high earning job. You can have a business. You can have a high earning business. How do you conduct yourself in regards to your end result, which you desire in some level of accordance? The structure for how men do it hasn't changed much. The only men that get extra, I was about to say the P word, but I'm trying to clean it up. Poothy, my bad. The only men that get extra poothy are desirable men. Men always desire women. That's what's interesting about the modern woman. It's almost as if the modern woman is acting like men just started wanting to have sex with women. No. Men back in the day wanted to get the draws. That's why chivalry was created. Like, if women were as sexually liberal as they are now in the 50s, life would be different.
oh, James. So this is where we got to go with that right there.
Life would be different.
This is where we got to go with that right there. Right? Bible says there's nothing new under the sun.
I agree with that.
Okay, so
Perception has changed.
well,
Perception has changed. Keep going though. I ain't gonna cut you off. Keep going.
we talking about this 50 stuff, man.
Okay.
That was going on back then. They would just get pregnant and run off to down south somewhere, have the baby, and come back like nothing ever happened. All right, so it's like for example, we'll use my self development godfather, Les Brown. He was born on the floor in Liberty City. Him and his twin brother were delivered and abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
So through some ancestry and just God's divine providence and grace, he did some ancestry, and the person got on the phone with him from the company
Mm-hmm.
and told him his whole backstory, who he was connected to, his family.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
He's on his way out. Not on his way out, but he's so candid that he's just spitting it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? You know, when people get older,
Mm-hmm.
they're taken care of and they're going to say what's on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's Les Brown right now. He was on the Breakfast Club maybe, let's say 3 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how he found out about who his mother was. It was through ancestry and DNA he found his family, put the pieces together, and he found out his mother was a married preacher. And he's old as he can possibly be, so this has to be back in the 50s.
Before that.
Before that.
Right.
Right? So maybe, as I remember it, her husband was at war or something like that, because that was the play back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She gets pregnant and she goes to Liberty City, Miami, where Florida, wherever she's from, delivers and evacuates. It doesn't care what happens to the kids. She got to go home like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm. So
but this has been going on, and I have a million stories about this.
Right. No. But that goes into the perception, the narrative. When you look at our relationships now with women, they reference horror stories where it's always black men doing terrible things to black women. with our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers. You know, babies on the other side of town and shit like that. Like I always say, like y'all act like ain't no saying called the
Hold on,
milkman's baby.
I want to say one more thing if you allow me to.
Go ahead.
When Les Brown, this is when I knew he didn't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Respect to the man. Thank you for endorsing my books. I appreciate you. Thank
Much
you
love to Les Brown. Shout out.
thank you, thank you. But he said something that let me know uh, that he's in tune with reality in terms of the subject matter we're discussing.
Mm-hmm.
He said live on the Breakfast Club, you can get canceled for this. He said, "Mama's baby, Papa's baby." This thing been around, honey. Ain't nothing new. We have more mediums of exposure now. We have judge shows, we have Maury and this and that. But man, people have been people since the beginning of time. Man.
Right.
Nothing's changed.
Well, let's speak towards what has changed. Again, tying into the topic, where the behavior of women has changed. Again,
it has.
But it has though. Like the standards that some women have, black community for sure. Don't want to go into digress too much objectively in that regard because again, I'm locked in on our group.
Yeah.
They're getting validation differently from education, socio-economic status, and income earning and salary. That's why you see the majority of black men are single and childless. Black 52, 3, 4% of black men are single and childless. Nobody wants to talk about that part. Nobody wants to correlate black men, the majority of black men being single and childless, and the behavior of black women. They want it. They want it. It's almost kind of when you look at social media and American major media narratives. It's almost presented as two different things when they're absolutely correlating.
Yes, they are.
There's no way that statistically black women are the least married group of women in America and the most divorced. You mean to tell me the socioeconomic statuses don't matter? Some black women feel like they deserve a certain type of man that ain't there. Your man is the black man regardless of what the fuck he earns. What is, I mean, grandma husband wasn't fucking educated. Bama was just dropping out of school. Now, are the times different? Yes. I get it. Standards evolve? Yes. But the social need for each other, that shouldn't have changed. And I think the fact that education, status, and income, if that can separate the black man and woman, it ties it to my point about how systemic oppression, racism, white supremacy has fucked us up. That's how we got, you can speak towards the Stockholm Syndrome narrative. So that's why this conversation is so important. We have to lock the fuck back in as black men and women.
We do. And the man,
regardless,
the man has to be inspired. We're going because you said it, Hunter. I want to keep this as fundamental as possible, man. The man has to be inspired, and you have to value your actual men in your dating pool enough to understand what they're looking for. It's as simple as some of the things we discussed. Having your identity within yourself and not the material world. Having a reverence and respect for the men who are checking for you and not trying to box outside your weight class. The solutions are simple.
So let's talk about it from how men vet women in these different economic statuses.
Okay.
How Zil, where we at time wise? Yeah, we good. We good. We got we good money. So we about to wrap it up probably in like another 5, 7. So I'll say this, right? Or to kind of go back into what I was saying. When you look at the different range of where a man can be, especially a black man can be economically, never mind educationally, because we know that black men are going to college less than black women right now, has been trending that way for a decade or more. No different than, again, you look at major metropolises. We're in the DC area, so we see women making six figures. That's not everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I want to speak toward, like, we have a natural interaction with women that are making more money or doing more things. It doesn't matter to us. If you're a roller, you're a roller. I don't give you. You make $200,000. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. We're going to treat you how you act. But that's not how a brother in Omaha, Nebraska, or fucking northern Texas, or somewhere else in the South or the West or the Midwest is going to act, because that's not his interaction. You understand what I'm saying? No different than, all right, I'm going to disassociate myself with a woman from a lower social economic status for certain reasons. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you can fuck with a woman from that that economic status for certain reasons. How do men navigate this space before we close out?
Men naturally navigate the space because they're naturally inclined to go to the woman who gives them the best experience, man. And
Okay.
that's how you see the intermingling among social classes, where the men is the one who has to be inspired to get down on one knee.
Mm-hmm.
The early example in the first half of what we talked about, the Tyler Perry movie, where he married the
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote help, or he paired himself with her. So men naturally want to be valued, desired, and respected. That's across all social spectrums. And if they come across a woman that values, desires, and respects him, and he's attracted to her, she's attracted to him, they establish that they have a mutual desire for one another,
Mm-hmm.
and they remain in each other's space, the next natural progression is that they will fall in love. And so the men aren't tied up on the social constructs. They're more leaning towards the side of the experience. And I believe that's a solution that Black women, regardless of their social economic standing and status, they have to accept that their superpower is the experience that they're going to give to the man, regardless of his social economic status. That can land you a six-figure guy, a seven-figure guy, or a guy making 30,000 a year. But the thing is, the mutual desire for one another is what the man is ultimately going to value, because even the weakest man, the most feminine man, still has a man inside of him. And if
Mm-hmm.
you emasculate that man, eventually that man is going to rise up in him. So that man wants to be valued, desired, and respected above all. And if you can learn to understand what the man is actually looking for, then you have a legitimate chance at pairing yourself with a man.
So again, what does a man have to do on his end?
Okay. I missed the question. I'm
No,
fucking
no,
with
no,
you.
no, not necessarily.
I know.
But what does a man have to do? Again, as he's in these different ranges. Never mind the high. I ain't even talking about the high end. I'm talking about mid to low end. What does he have to do
He has to show up to life every day and have a desire
to vet women properly, accordingly, to get the wife he wants in the landscape we in the dynamic we in? You know what I'm saying?
He just has to, just like the woman, like he has to understand and accept the segment of women that are checking for him. He has to understand where he's desired, and he has to be at peace with that, because he's improving himself every day. He hasn't landed, he hasn't parked. No matter where he is, even I said in my book, How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women, he has an upward trajectory. Regardless of how little or how much he's accomplished, he's going for more every day. And when you're doing that, you can trust the results that are coming back your way, because you know you show up to life as the best version of yourself every day. So that's what the man needs to do. You show up to life every day as the best version of yourself, and you accept everything that's coming back to you that's in alignment with the magnitude of the man that you're showing up to the world as.
Okay. Trying to bring some finality to this.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? From a solution
you just
standpoint.
accept it, man. Everybody needs to be at a place of improving themselves, trying to understand the opposite sex, and having a level of acceptance, meaning that you're showing up the best way that you can possibly show up to life every day,
Mm-hmm.
and you're accepting whatever's coming back to you. And if you don't like what's coming back to you, then improve. And if you're improving, accept.
Mm-hmm. Improve and accept. I mean, I wish it was, that simple. I mean, I know that everything we saying is valid, um, but I think one of the bigger challenges we're going to face collectively within our group moving forward, um, because a lot of what we talked about um, are things that we're dealing with based on our demographic age range wise. But you hear me often speak towards the next generation and what's coming up next and the standard we setting. And that's where I see things going left. Because there's a standard and a precedent being set. We have a different reference point for relationships. Tech is changing that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't factor that piece in, so that's going to tie into the next conversation. That you see how we naturally flow into things.
Yeah, we are.
Um,
Yeah.
because when you look at the tech piece and the next generation piece, I don't think our generation right now is understanding the ramifications of what we do and how it impacts the next generation. And I
And
think that's scary.
that's definitely scary. But the thing about our generation is that we still have a chance in terms of what do they call it? Course correcting.
Hmm.
Okay. The conversation that we have with the next generation is not what we articulate to them, it's what we show them.
That's my point, though.
But and
I'm
I'm
glad
going
you said that.
and so if we course correct, if we accept, we improve, we accept, our expectations are tempered towards reality and not delusion, more of us will start to pair. Okay. And consequently, we don't have to say a thing to the next generation.
We got to show them, though.
That's the whole point of what I'm saying. And we're still young enough to create unions and course correct. So it's just a matter of, are we going to fight ourselves till we are we going to punch the air until we run out of energy and traction,
Mm-hmm.
or
I see what you're saying.
are we going to course correct and do what we have to do to understand one another and create some unions and have the most potent and loudest conversation with the next generation, which is the unspoken conversation that's based on our results.
We got another conversation coming for y'all. Tech, the next generation, where things are now and how it impacts them moving forward. We got another conversation coming. I like it. I like it. Yeah. It's cool, Hunter, man. I got my guy Big Matt in here. Matthew C. Horne, author, motivational speaker, dating coach, because all y'all need the game and the rap. Good Lord. Yeah. We got another one coming for y'all. Stay tuned, baby.
Stay tuned, man. And before we go, don't forget to check the books. How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, available at www.matthewchorne.com.
Yes, sir.
And How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. Hunter and I are solution oriented. This will take you there, I promise. www.matthewchorne.com.
Till the next time, good people.